What are you saying, people? It's another episode of the Social Worker and the Mentor. Bro, how you been, bro?
I'm good. Take the water down, brother.
What?
Free promotion.
We're trying to advertise the thing, you know?
No. Bro, we just water to drink, bro.
I know, but still though, man.
All right, cool.
Can't you see we got a special guest in the house?
All right, cool. Now, here. But you're good, yeah?
How you doing?
Bro, I'm all right, I'm all right.
Listen, don't get it twisted. You see the weather, yeah? It looks sunny, but it's cutting.
No, it's chaps. It's chaps.
outside.
It's chaps. But wait.
No.
Have they done it yet?
I don't know.
Wait. Have you done it yet?
Have you liked and subscribed?
Have you done it yet?
You know it's free,
Done it?
yeah?
Listen, this is what I'm trying to say. Do you know how good us man have been for the past 4 years? The thing is free, you know.
Actually, it's getting better, the like and subscribe.
Nah, yeah.
I must
To be
admit,
fair,
it's
I'm
getting
seeing the
better.
ratings
But
going up.
You could do a little bit more better, you know, just a little bit. You know it's
Patreon.
free in it, yeah?
Patreon, you done it?
Guys, you're slacking on the Patreon. All university students, please.
100%,
We have
100%.
amazing CPD videos coming next month.
Yeah.
It would be beneficial to your needs, your support, your guidance, your course, and you have a multitude of multi-agency, education, inclusion, youth offending, NANA,
social work,
care, social worker, social care. So please follow the Patreon next month. It is
100%.
essential for you.
And also, before we go in, big up to the studio.
Yes.
Big up to Jermaine.
You know the thing,
Big up to Elm. Listen, big up to them, for the work they've been doing
100%.
for our podcast. And anybody who wants to come, if you want to film, Myriad Studios, come here.
That's it, man.
Yeah, so big up to Jermaine and
You know the
Elm.
thing
Listen,
already,
all
man.
this, that it's just me and Rob, we talk and everything. But production and stuff, it won't happen without them.
High professionalism.
High professionalism.
Big
so anybody who wants to
communication.
come, listen, you come to this studio.
That's it.
Yeah,
Amazing.
100%. Right, so people, I'm laughing. yeah. Listen, big guest here, who I worked with, innit? Big guest, innit? And you know about the thing is, she was meant to come on like last month. She goes, Nana, listen, I want my hair to be done and stuff like that. So I'm coming in there, yeah. Listen, I got the receipts on WhatsApp, innit? Yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll let you come. I'll wait for you, innit? So today. She's here.
Hair's not done.
No. She look nice, man. Come on, man. She look nice, innit? So, What's your job, bro? What do you do? Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Sherene.
Yeah.
And I'm a solicitor. More specifically, I specialise in child protection. Okay. So I am the solicitor to the social workers.
Okay,
and
round of applause. Come on,
Round of applause,
man.
And also, big up the hoodie as well.
Oh, yes. So clear intention, self-love. I very much am about self-love. And this is my cousin's brand. You can catch her at Clear Intentions 33.
Okay.
On all the socials.
Guys,
She's
you're hearing that,
amazing.
Clear Intentions 33,
and, she very much promotes self-love. Okay. And that's what I'm about, so... And the hoodies are good quality.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks nice and thick.
Yes.
And
you see that? Nice
I'm
for
not
the winter.
feeling that cold outside. Yeah. So go and get yourself one.
100%. So Sherene, let's just start about, talk about your journey. So how did you get into becoming a solicitor?
Yeah, okay. I started very late in life. I didn't go to university and get my degree until I was 26.
Okay.
And then after I did my degree part-time. So very much after I left school, I left school, took a break, went and worked, and then went college, got my A-levels, and I did an intensive course because I didn't do the traditional route. I don't, I come from, single parent mom raising 4 children on her own. For me, when I left school, it was about going to work, so then I decided to get my A-levels. I did an intensive course. After I did my A-levels, I still didn't go to university. As I said, I didn't go to university until I was 26. Then I did a part-time degree at Birkbeck College, University of London. So whilst I was still working, after I did that, then I blagged my way into the legal world. I remember going for my first job in admin.
No. You didn't blag it. Sometimes you have...
Sherene, man.
No, it's called excellence, No, what you did, you put the energy out there within yourself and you make it happen,
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I remember going for my first admin job, and I remember being interviewed, and the person that interviewed me said to me, what do you think your disadvantage would be over anyone else that comes to the interview? And I remember saying, I've never worked in law before, but I tell you what, you give me the job and I'm going to graft and I'm going to be the best. Because at the time I was only admin. I was going to be the best. I was going to be at it. So I started there. That was in, I want to say 2015. I can't remember the dates, but either way. Then I went and did my degree part-time, finished that, and because I had been in law a couple of years in admin, I worked into like paralegal roles. And as I said to you before we came on camera, I started out in criminal law first, and I started being a police station representative. And I'll tell you what that is, and you'll know it, because you know when you watch a TV show and you see the person that's always next to the defendant, and the defendant's going, no comment, no comment. I was the person that was telling them to say no comment. So I did criminal law for a very long time. Then the firm that I started that, and it's the firm that I did my training contract in. And then after I went to university, then I had to go and do, law school part-time. Everything was part-time because I was working full-time. I still had to pay bills. Fast forward, long story short, fast forward to 2018, and then that's when I qualified as a solicitor. So next month will be 7 years.
Amazing.
Since I've been qualified.
Amazing.
Big up, Sherene.
Thank you. And then how I ended up in child protection. So I qualified and I went into family law. And the reason I went into family law is because I never wanted to be in the courtroom. I was scared of the courtroom.
Seriously?
Scared of it. Because for me, it was imposter syndrome. Because, you see the programs on TV, the people in the courtroom, very posh, very middle class, very white, barristers. That wasn't me. I'm from a council estate. Born and bred South East London. I don't talk like, and I still don't talk like any of them. And I was like, I couldn't do it. So I left crime because for me, that's where you always was in the courtroom. When you see any show on TV, it's the criminal courtroom you always see. And I was like, that's not for me. I will never stand up against those barristers in court. Then I went into family. First, I started in private practice. So I actually started representing parents.
Against the local authority?
Against the local authority. That's where I started. And then I started going to court. And I was like, I like this. Because family's a bit different from criminal. Criminal is very... one against the other. It's very adversarial. Whereas family's a bit different. You try to sort out as much as you can outside the courtroom.
Between the parties.
But obviously, as we know, that doesn't always happen. But I started to go to those hearings and I started to enjoy it. And I was like, no, I like the courtroom.
Right.
And then I left private practice after I had my daughter I went on maternity leave in 2020. When I came back to work in 2021, I decided I'm going to go to the local authority. I just felt it just worked better for me being a new mum, and then that's when my journey as representing the social workers started.
Round of applause, man.
But just to say,
Sherene, it's amazing.
It's amazing, but
journey, man.
It's that imposter syndrome that you because I've worked with you, and now people, I'm gonna say a big up Sherene, because I'm not gonna lie, I worked with Sherene on cases, and I've never seen that. In that imposter syndrome, you go there, you talk like when we had that case that we had in it, you said, "Now listen, you know me, I'm gonna go back up the judge and everything." And the thing is,
I didn't back up no judge.
but she's like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell the judge my thing." And then Sherene like was in there in court and was saying, "No, this is what it is." And it's like, but it's just interesting to hear that side.
Do you know
because I've seen you and you're just so confident. You're there. Like,
quick question. I mean, look, as you know, I'm from a youth offending background. So, and I go to court regular. So, yes, you're right. When you do go into the court, of course, like on the right hand side, we've got your left hand side, we've got the young person. Then on the far right hand side, you might have the police. In front of me, you've got the solicitors and the judges and the barristers, whatever, whatnot. Okay, right, But you're very much an advocate. Well, you would have been for that young person. But
no, I know. And
do
you know what I did? As I said, I did criminal law for a long time. That's, and I was forever representing young people, and I got on so well with them because they understood me. Because I always say to people,
"You're from the ends as well."
That's my life. I'm from it. If I taken 2 steps in a different direction, I might not be sitting here as a solicitor. Do you know what I mean? So I very much related to the young people. And I remember I used to have young people that before they even got arrested, Sherene, like they'd phone like my work phone, because obviously they know your work number. They know your work number better than you know your work number. Sherene, I'm about to get arrested. Like, and then you get the call from you get told, oh yeah, X, Y, and Z has been arrested, and you just knew it's coming. So you build up a great relationship with them. But like for me, because of that imposter syndrome, I thought I could never take it beyond the police station. I didn't think I could go up against the barristers when it comes to the court hearing, even though I knew my client. And you build a relationship because, you know, with the way criminal law works, you get regular clients and you see them, you know, their crimes kind of progress, you know, go from very petty to very serious, and you're with them. But I just thought, I can't do them justice in the courtroom, so maybe criminal law isn't for me. It was the imposter syndrome. And I get, you know, you say now in the courtroom, you know, I'm confident, but every day before I step into the courtroom, even now, I'm like, I'm going up against some big players in the legal world. So for me, I need to make sure I know my stuff, especially representing the local authority.
Quick question. I do apologize. Quick question. Do you check out who the competition is?
100%. I go on their profiles. 100%. I go on their profiles. 100%.
Now you got to though.
You have to know. You have to. And like sometimes, because obviously the way that family law works, especially, is that 9 times out of 10, you're going to be against a barrister that's been in this game longer than I've been alive.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? So you're always checking them out. But the good thing is, because I'm in court regularly, you get to know them and you realise, and that's kind of, it helps me, it's not personal against me when they're attacking, for example, the local authority.
That's their job. They're meant to try and trip you up.
They've got to. They have to. So you build up good working relationships with a lot of barristers. And a lot of barristers have helped me so much in my career. Because, as Nana will tell you, there are very few solicitors that actually go to court. They always brief. So I'm kind of a rarity still of solicitors that go, especially for the local authority, that go to the court and go up against the barrister.
Because you're not our counsel, but it's very few cases where you're going, of our counsel.
So why is there a lack of that? I
think, all right, for a child protection solicitor, like the ones that are in-house at local authority, the workload, and you know, if a social worker's workload is big, that means their solicitor's workload is big too. Especially because obviously any case that a social worker has in court, there's a solicitor that's got to deal with that
and attached to you.
Exactly, and it's a lot. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I didn't like just sitting at a desk doing the casework. I liked to be in the grit of it. I liked to be in the courtroom. I like to feel like a lawyer. So I made that decision in my career that I wanted to be the lawyer that goes to court. And then slowly but surely, I stopped doing casework. And then solely, I'm just an advocate. Like I just go to court because that's what I love. It's the part I enjoy. I don't, with all due respect, I don't enjoy reading social worker statements. I know. It's not for me.
Do you know what?
But I like being able to speak to the court.
You'll get it today, boy.
Listen, one time, one case here, innit? I quality assured it, innit? And then Sherene said, Nana, listen, is the thing good? Yeah. And I said, it is, innit? No, because what it is, because what it is that from Sherene's perspective, sometimes they've got to make all the changes.
Of course, and
Sherene said to me, Nana, listen, you know it's long, innit? Use the managers, QA, just QA the statement. I make sure that it's good, innit? And like, if it needs to go to 5 people before I know, then like we have the conversation and then me and Sherene will talk, like maybe the night before, we'll brief, innit? And it's like, all right, cool, Nana, this is what it is, innit? And that's it. But I hear it though.
Yeah, I just think, do you know what? Like, these are, like with social worker statements, I always say to my social workers, no one knows that family more than you. But you see, when it comes to putting pen to paper, sometimes it gets lost. Because so like for me, I find when I was reading the statements and I was doing, because I did my time with the, you know, and I'd be like, I don't care what the theory that you learn at university says. That don't matter. The judge don't care. We know you know the theory because that's why you're the expert. I want you to show me the evidence of why, for example, you say that child can't be in the house.
Right,
I don't care what the theory told you in 26, you know, whenever the papers were written.
Do you feel that gets lost?
I think sometimes
it's techie waters, bruv.
It's. I think when I read it, like
Sherene, just say it's techie.
It's techie.
It's techie, It is techie though. It's techie,
definitely. Sometimes I think the message that the social social workers trying to convey is lost because they get so caught up in, I think sometimes social workers don't realise how amazing they are.
Yeah.
Do you know? Nobody's on the front line like a social worker, having to go to that family's house at 1:00 at night, sitting outside. You're seeing it. You are the evidence.
Yeah.
But sometimes when it comes to putting that into a statement, it's lost.
Can't articulate it. So
That's where we, as lawyers, like social workers, they cuss us all day, every day. You lawyers, you don't understand.
Yeah.
And sometimes, because we only see it in black and white, all we want is the evidence.
it's
So
true.
I can present to the
Give
judge.
me A, B, C, D. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
and tell me why we've gotten to the point where we're removing the child.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Sherene, because I think for the audience, and this is where I think it's good we've got a lawyer here, that a lot of the times, a lot of people talk about social services and the fact that we just go in and remove children.
Yes,
Not even possible.
But a lot of the time,
Yeah.
this is why it's good you're here, because actually, I've tried to explain with
Great
Rob
point,
here
yeah.
that
Yeah, great
there is
point.
a process.
Yes.
Great point. Yeah.
And
great
now
point.
I don't want to explain the process, but I think, can you explain?
Yeah.
Because I know the process in terms of,
Yes.
we've got a concern about a child or young person in the home. They would have been on CP or SIN. Things are not working.
Yeah.
We make a referral for legal planning.
Yes.
What does legal planning look like?
So-
what's the advice that I'm saying you would give us?
Yeah. So basically what happens, as you said, you make the referral to go to a legal planning meeting. Prior to that legal planning meeting taking place, the lawyer has to see what assessments have been done, the child and family assessments have been done. We want to see minutes from any child protection meetings. We want to see we need to see the evidence.
Yeah.
We need to see what you're saying that meets the threshold for us. All right, so say for example you want removal. So then when we get the papers, we're reading it, and now we've got our threshold's a bit different from the social worker's threshold in the sense that we're looking at what the law says. We're looking at Children Act, and more specifically, we've now got in mind Section 31 and threshold criteria and what boxes you've got to tick.
Yeah.
So when you I need to see the evidence of the significant harm.
Which is subsection 2A and 2B,
There
section
you-
31.
Look at him.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Listen, you don't just think I'm a black man with a hat. I don't know my thing, bro. Don't think because I got a hat, I don't know threshold and everything, man.
exactly.
I know my shit, bro.
More importantly, I
Sorry
need
for the
to
language,
see-
innit? No, bro, you got to tell him about
I need
that.
to apologise.
But more
But yeah.
importantly, I need to see the evidence of that harm.
Yeah.
So if you're saying to me this child has suffered physical abuse, where is your evidence? Because it's all well and good you saying it, but for me to present it to the court, I need, the doctor's reports that you've got that says that these were non-accidental injuries, for example.
References,
If you're going for neglect, I need to see evidence that, for example, the school have made referrals that the child's come to school, not eat it. I need evidence of it. So when you bring it to the legal panel meetings, legal planning meetings, apologies, we need to see that evidence. And then what we need to know clearly is, okay, so you say removal, as a social worker, what us lawyers need to see is, one, what can be done to avoid removal.
And can you say that again to your camera, please?
Okay.
No, you're right.
No, it's not me. Like,
Yeah. No,
I'm actually agreeing
Yeah,
with you.
because the reason
you're
I'm
right,
saying that is because I think people also don't understand that within a local authority, Sherene's job also is to scrutinize our care plan.
Yes.
And actually say to us,
Do you know, I'm going to say this because I think sometimes when it comes from Nana, there's very much a vocal point.
Yeah,
but I think sometimes if it comes from me, it might come across a bit different.
Yeah.
And I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, On social media, in the papers, in society, right, it is very much known and seen that social workers have a very negative perception, okay, right, in the black community, and I'm going to be honest, right, in the black community, it is very much vocalized and said that social workers take children away from their families. This is what it is, right?
And I get that because the social worker's the face of the person that's turning up at the home to take that child.
Right,
I get that. But there are so much stages that before we even get there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So as I was saying, you as a lawyer, I'm asking you, what are you doing to avoid the removal?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's such a draconian, and I use the term that you hear in the...
I'm
going to use the link. It's a horrible imposition on a family.
100%,
It is.
It's trauma, isn't it?
If you think about
excessive.
it,
It is, yeah.
if you think about it, it's the biggest breach of your, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer and I'll start using
Yeah.
lawyer
No,
terms.
but it is, no,
your
say it.
Article 8, right? So there's a human, we've got the human right laws.
Yeah, it
one
is.
of the human, your law, one of the rights
to family
is your right to family life.
That's right.
Going in as an institution and removing a
Yes.
child is the biggest breach if we think about it.
is,
of
yeah,
that.
it is.
So therefore, as a lawyer, I need to know that you've done everything to avoid this, because if what Nana will tell you is I will fight for my client.
Yeah.
I have gone in and sometimes I get some crazy instructions from social workers and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this because I'm going to fight for you.
Yeah.
But it's a bit, out there.
It's long, innit?
It's out there, but we're going to do it still. Yeah. But for me to be able to convince a judge, because the judge ultimately, only the judge, and I'm going to say it again, only a judge can make the decision to take a child out of a family home.
But families seem to think,
right, guys,
Sherene,
that's true.
Yeah, but families, Sherene, sometimes in the comments, social media say that the judge follows the LA's recommendation, and I keep saying that judges don't have to.
Of course not.
They can throw the case out and be like, "No, why are you coming here for?"
No, and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I've seen many occasions where a local authority has gone for removal and a judge says no way.
Yeah, why are you coming here for? Yeah,
but and that's what I say to my social work, my clients. I say, bring me the evidence to show that that removal is the only option.
Yeah.
So I want to see at the legal planning meeting. Yeah. The assessments, I want to see that you've done assessments of any family members, because, all right, if the child can't stay with its parent, then have we got a grandparent, an aunt, and a family friend?
What's the plan B? Yeah.
We've done a viability assessment.
Exactly. I want to see the viability assessment.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, the courts are coming down more heavily on local authorities to make sure those viability assessments are done. Yeah. Because it's one thing to move a child from a family, but to remove that child from its whole support unit is a lot.
Education, schooling, family.
Exactly. Because obviously, sometimes, as you know, a child going into foster care might be they're moving to the other side of London, sometimes even out of London. It's a lot for a child. Yeah. So when we go to legal planning meetings, those are the things I want to see in place. Then, obviously, I want all of that in place. What I then want to see is, okay, so you're saying foster care, have you found the foster placement? Because there are many times that we go to court and on the doorstep we still don't have a foster placement.
You ain't got no placement.
So the judge is not going to sanction removal when you've got nowhere to remove the child to. So these are all the steps, and that's a very brief summary of the steps that have to be taken before I even get into that courtroom and ask the judge for permission for the interim care order, because that's obviously what we're asking for as well. We're asking to share parental responsibility with the parents and then remove that child. So there's a lot that has to go in place. So social services cannot, I can confidently tell you, cannot just go in, knock on a parent's door and say, we're removing your child.
Right, guys, you've heard this, right? Yeah?
And this is
you've heard this.
Yeah, listen, because this is a child protection lawyer.
Yeah. Right.
Because I just think, Sherene, I'm glad that you said that, because I think sometimes, with the greatest of respect, I think sometimes I'm not disputing people's experiences of when their children are being removed.
Yes.
But I think the context and the steps. People don't always take that into account. So how do we get from A to B to C to D?
The only thing I will obviously say is, obviously there's the police protection.
PP.
They
can do
obviously
that.
They can go in and obviously it's usually a social worker would phone the police and say, look, we need to remove these children out of these homes. They haven't gone to court. So that is the only separate route. But then again, it's the police. A social worker can't wake up on a Monday and say, I'm going to take your child.
I think as well, what we have to remember as well, and you're right what you said before, it is often due to the experience of the actual family or person. But I think we have to remember as well, the family or the person or the scenario, they don't know that the social worker might have contacted the solicitor or lawyer, or they've had that conversation with the police. Now, as you said before, right, something has had to have happened, but very often than not, in our black community, right, there's a lack of awareness and knowledge, which is a massive, massive thing. Because if you're not aware and you don't have the knowledge, they're just looking at the police thinking, rah, you keep coming here all the time. Go away.
What's
Do
going
you know
on?
what I mean? And it's ignorance as well.
But then also, Rob, as well, where I'm going to back families on it, and Sherene will agree with me, is that I think social workers also are not good at being transparent.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Because when I worked with families, and say, for example, the case could go to court, from the very, very beginning when I'm working with you, I will talk to you about the steps when I'm working with you at each point. So that if a case does come to court, you can't come and say to me, well,
Yes.
actually, the social didn't tell me. But I will say, look, these are the measures that the local authority could take, but I want to work with you to avoid it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go down the legal planning meeting route. Even if we go down a legal planning meeting, Sherene might go and say to me, Nana, or social work team, why don't we try PLO,
Yeah.
public law outline, which is pre-proceeding.
Yes.
Let's try and see how
Which
we
we-
can divert
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because that is within the framework.
I think as well, what the problem is as well, is we live in London.
Yeah.
And I think as well, this all comes down to culture, right? Yeah, all right. No disrespect. If you're a white Caucasian, and obviously I'm not trying to say race or color is always the answer, or not the answer, right? Yeah. But sometimes if you've got a white Caucasian social worker or practitioner, right? Yeah. And then working with a specific African or black family or Bengali family or Asian family, right? Yeah. Sometimes culturally, they just might not be the right person. Sometimes that profession might not have done their homework about, is it Ramadan? It's Ramadan now. Is it Ramadan now? Culturally, what's the dad like? Is dad running things in the household?
Yeah.
Mum, do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
all these things are involved in terms of,
And you're very right, because I've seen that when I've read social work statements, and I mean, this is from when I was representing parents. I used to get so angry when you'd read, for example, a statement of a social worker, and they'll be like, it will be something in relation, I don't know. I remember one thing sticks out in my head, like a social worker commenting on something about fried chicken. And I was like, but that happens in my house. I'm of a Jamaican.
Yeah.
My mum's a Jamaican, and whatever the comment was, I was like, but that happens in
yeah,
my
your
house.
house.
And you're very right. Sometimes it's about not understanding
yeah.
the culture that you're dealing with. Like when you repair it in assessments and things that parents being criticised on, you're like, but that's their culture. Because I know if you came in my house or my mum's house or my family's house,
That's
that's
right.
our culture.
Yes.
So you can't criticise. It's not a one rule kind of fits all. Do you know what I mean? But what I will say, and I think it's so important that, and you said is, lack of awareness. I think what parents need to know, and what sometimes they don't realise, is the moment social services are involved in your family, and they use the word PLO. They say we're going into pre-proceedings, or even we're going to go into proceedings. Get a solicitor straight away.
Yeah.
I say to people, there are very few things in life that we can still get legal aid for. The moment local authorities are involved in a family's life, whether it's PLO or care proceedings, automatically you get legal aid.
You do get legal aid,
They don't have to worry about you. You could have
go on.
Can
you say that again? Because even as a professional practitioner, right? Yeah. But because I've read that legal aid in terms of funding is very limited as well, right? Yeah?
And there's a threshold as well.
But let me just say it again.
Yeah, please,
if it's public law outline, so that's the pre-proceedings that Nana mentioned, PLO, or if it's care proceedings, the moment they say they're going to court to either get an interim care order, interim supervision order, you are automatically entitled to legal aid.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Automatically. You go to a solicitor's firm, you can go to any solicitor's firm that deals with children proceedings. You let them know, usually you get a letter from the local authority, whether it's a pre-proceedings letter or a letter of intention to issue proceedings.
Yeah.
And you bring that letter to them, you automatically get legal aid as the parent. So as long as you've got all right, let me qualify that with, as long as the ones that automatically get legal aid, and there's no question, is if you have parental responsibility for the child. So you will definitely get legal aid with no issues. If you're or if you've been a special guardianship, because obviously, a lot of people that get special guardianships for children, and then unfortunately we might enter back into care proceedings. They would get legal aid. So anyone that has parental responsibility for a child would automatically get legal aid if it was public law outline proceedings or care proceedings. And I would always urge them to go to a solicitor. Do you know, because then it comes back to the awareness, and a lot of people not knowing. And I've been at court and I've had parents that have got no solicitors with them. You're hearing all these legal terms because obviously once we enter the courtroom,
they don't know
what's he talking about.
I don't know what he's
exactly. So you need a lawyer, and it's your right. So get one. You know.
Go on.
So I want to ask a question. It's not really taking a left right here, but myself and Nana, we work with a lot of single parent families, and I work with a lot of fathers who don't see their children, unfortunately. And there are a lot of fathers who feel undermined, or they feel they don't have the support. There's also a lot of fathers who are not aware of their rights, or that they're not aware of their legal rights as fathers as well. What advice could you give to the practitioners, or what advice, or what's your guidance regarding that? Yeah.
And what's your experience on
Good
this?
question, because prior to going into working for local authority, I when I was in private practice, my main practice was representing fathers.
Okay.
Right.
Had a lot of clients that were dads that were trying to get access to their child. And, you know, we went through the court system. We had some good results, actually. What I would say is if your name is on that birth certificate, you have the exact same rights as a mother.
What if they're not? Because there's a lot of man, you know, I say, right, what, you're not on the birth
There's a lot of
certificate?
man there.
And they tell me no, you know. I'm like,
don't,
seriously?
Yeah.
And I must admit, I'm like, man, you just created another issue for yourself. Still, you can still obviously make an application to see your child. You've always got that right. And as part of that application, what you want to do is make an application for parental responsibility. Just because you're not on the birth certificate when that child was registered doesn't mean you can never, ever obtain parental responsibility. If, you know, you go through the process. And I always encourage fathers, if you want to see your children, yes, I understand it's a cost. I get it. It is a cost. But ultimately, if you want to see your children, you're going to pay, because if your child was in your life, you're going to pay anyway.
You're gonna pay,
Being a parent's not free. So go through the process. If you can get a solicitor, or you can do direct access and get a barrister as well. You don't have to pay the cost of the solicitor and then pay the cost of the barrister.
Okay, right.
You can get direct access, but what I would say is do it, and you can do it. The application, they've made it quite
straightforward,
person friendly to fill out the application online. You have to make the application to the court that's closest to where your child lives. So, for example,
it's about $250 as well, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know the price now, but you make the application and start the process. And what is happening a lot in courts now is that courts are becoming more sympathetic to fathers that do want to see their children. I agree. They are. It's not how it used to be.
It's not great, but
no, we're getting there.
We're getting there. Yeah, it's not great.
But
I agree.
you know, what I would say is, if you do have your name on your child's birth certificate, you have the right to ask the school about how they're doing at school. You have those rights, and a lot of people don't realise. So those are your rights.
No,
as long as you have parental responsibility. If social services was in your child's life, but you didn't know, they have a duty to let you know.
How would a father meet the threshold for legal aid?
It's
surrounding that.
difficult. See, legal aid so those are known as private law applications. So anything to do with the local authority usually comes under public law applications. But anything to do whether it's a parent versus a parent, it's private. Well, no, before you even get there. So to make an application for a child arrangements order, spend time with, is known as, it comes under Section 8 of the Children Act. So it's private law applications. It's very difficult to get legal aid. And I tell you why it's difficult, because one of the ways to get legal aid is if you've been a survivor of domestic abuse. Now, as you know, it's statistics show women are still
always predominantly women.
So
it's
you know, so therefore them getting legal aid would be, because all they have to do is, you know, if they've made a police report, they've gone to their GP and get a letter. So legal aid, but obviously dads, it's not usually the case. You know, especially in the black community, you don't really hear a lot of men that. I'm not saying they're not victims or survivors of domestic abuse. I'm saying they're not reporting it. And because they're not reporting it, there's no evidence, and you don't get that letter. Do you know, because with legal aid, it's done on your means and your merit. So your means is how much money you got in the bank. So if you're, for example, on universal credit, that's it. You've ticked the box for means. So you'd get it if you was on, you know, a benefit like that. But it's the merits. So if you are a survivor of domestic abuse, you can get a letter from the police. If you've ever had a non-molestation order, that's it. You've ticked the merit spot. That's how you'd get legal aid. Unfortunately, that's not always the case with dads. Unless you are another way, and this is what I've had previously. I represented a client who, they were able to get a letter from social services saying they supported the child being with the dad. So if you are someone that the social services have had no concern with, and they would actually, if social services could, they would want to remove the child from mum and give it to dad.
So hang on a minute, is that not a form of biasm, or being quite biased in terms of, or one-sided, because, or even sexist to a degree? You know, I'm yeah. Is that not?
I wouldn't go as far as saying it's sexist
Not
because
sexist, but a bit one-sided though, because it's like, look, you know, me and Nana and this platform, we're very big on, you know, domestic violence. Like,
yes.
You know, and we support any woman that's going through that at all, you know, going through domestic violence, you know. But we also know as well that there are fathers who are, it affects them mentally and emotionally, and, you know, them not seeing their child.
Yeah.
And they feel to a degree that sometimes there's more support and guidance for the mothers than the fathers.
And I get that, and I've seen that, and I definitely, I'd be lying if I sat here and said, you know, in my career, you don't see more support for the mothers and that, and I get it, and it is hard. I honestly, you know, I do feel it for a lot of fathers that are fighting to see their children sometimes, and it's difficult because you might not be able to afford to go down the court route. But realistically, that's the only way you're going to get to see your child is by going down the court route. But I'm never going to take away from the fact that, you know, there are a lot of women, statistically it's proven, you know, violence against women is on the rise. We've seen
skyrocketing.
We've seen it.
It's extremely high.
Exactly. So I'm not ever going to take away from the fact that there are
it's rising.
Exactly.
And it's a big concern.
Exactly. Right now, I mean, I think yesterday or the day before I was reading a report that's saying it's just it's gone up,
and it's still going.
So that's why I'm not going to say it's, you know, unfair technically to men. It's biased because the reality is a lot of women and girls are still suffering at the hands.
And it's still ongoing,
you know, so they need that protection too. But I do get it. I understand that maybe it is a harder barrier for maybe men to get the funding. But ultimately, you can go to court and do it yourself. You know,
and that's the route.
Do you know it is as well? I do apologize. Do you know it is as well? Because like, you know, I'm very big on mental health and well-being, and how people feel mentally. I mean, look, the cost of living is no joke nowadays, right? Yeah, all right. You know, people are struggling, right? You've got people that's on 30 grand, 40 grand.
And still struggling.
Right, they're struggling. Okay, right, yeah. So, as I said before, when we have these scenarios and situations, it's quite daunting for a person to like, oh my gosh, what solicitor fees? How much is that?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Do you know what I mean?
It is. I would always say, if you've got somebody, there's got to be somebody in your family or in your friend circle that could speak to the no. Well, yeah, I mean, I need one of those, but no, that could speak to from a father's perspective. If you've got somebody that was cool with the mother of your child, start there. Do you know what I mean? I know it's easier said than done, but any way in which you can try and get access to your child, because ultimately that's what you want. And I think sometimes that gets lost on a lot of the battling, and I see it in court all the time. It gets lost that the child's the only one that's been affected by this. Whether it's a mum saying, you're not seeing him, I want this, that and the other. That child's been affected. If it's a dad, you know, making mum's life hell for whatever reason, it's the child that's been affected. There's got to be somebody that you know that's cool. You know, you got the cool cousin, the cool aunt.
Can speak to mum.
That mediation.
Can start there, because ultimately you can't even initiate court proceedings without mediation now. Unless domestic abuse has been involved.
Domestic abuse,
but where there's no domestic abuse, there's got to be mediation. Now, why are you going to pay a stranger to be your mediator when if you've got somebody that's you know, that's cool,
and see, you could just have a meeting and
see what the issues are
and iron it out.
Do you know what I mean?
Let's
be grown. Let's work out why it is that I haven't seen my child. But what I don't like to do is point the finger. The mum's doing this wrong, or the dad's doing
everyone
this
plays
wrong.
their part.
Exactly.
On both
exactly.
sides.
And I think that's what people need to remember. Like, I've watched a lot of you know, these podcasts, and I've watched a lot of and I always watch it from a solicitor's perspective. That, you know, you see shows where parents are blaming the other parent and that, and I'm like, you both played a hand in this. So let's remove our ego. And
it's true. That's true.
Do you know what I mean? And let's. What's best for that child? Do you know what I mean? Like 100%. When my child's having, you know, like their dance show or their gymnast show, whatever shows they do. What would that child want? Would it be to see mummy and daddy there? I can be on that side of the room and you can be on that. We don't have to be together.
But
we're both there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we got to do. Strip it back, take away our egos.
Yeah.
And see what's best for that child. And if that child wants their daddy there, it might kill you, it might bite you. I don't like him, I can't stand him.
Yeah.
But my child wants them there. And for the sake of an hour, you know?
One of the things, Sherene, I wanted to ask you, just to kind of move forward a bit, is that you mentioned earlier about social workers, and often you see some biases within some of the statements. And you mentioned about, that would happen in my house. Now, in terms of like being a black child protection lawyer, I see a lot of black child protection lawyers. I've come across like a few men or so, but in a lot of kind of senior positions, not a lot or very few far between. And I've only come across one black judge ever. One black family court judge ever in my time being a social worker.
Seriously?
Yeah, and then I've met one Asian judge recently. Why is that? Okay. And I know you're gonna say what it is, innit? But so the racial inequality, we also see it in your sector as well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's something that us lawyers, we're trying to change. And I'll give you a perfect example. Obviously barristers, when they reach the top of the game, they become what's known as King's Counsel, so KCs. Yeah. So for example, they recently had a whole appointment of KCs. Not one black person got. So the statistics are 10, because it's what I'm telling you. You can go in. You see it. 10 barristers applied to be KC, King's Counsel. So you're the top of the top. Not one was appointed. So there's a long way for us to go. You're very right in terms of black judges. We're still not there. Yeah, nowhere.
Only one black family court judge I've ever met,
and it's most probably the one I'm thinking of. Because but
that's crazy, because I see a lot of black criminal judges, but all the time.
But the disparities,
it's different. Family,
but not a lot in family court.
No,
we don't.
And there are some amazing senior black barristers. Like a lot of them are my mentors. A lot of them I look up to. We talk about some of them. Yeah. And I'm always asking them, are you going to go for judge? Are you going to go for judge? I would like to say...
What's the politics?
The problem is it's...
Sherene, keep it 100, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't made an application to be a judge, so I can't necessarily tell you what's going on. But sometimes it feels like... it's not necessarily what you know, it's kind of who you know.
Right.
Do you know?
Okay,
for a long time, law was kind of seen as, the old boys club. And,
I just about to say that.
So even now, like, I listen, I celebrate and I love when I see lawyers that look like me, because sometimes the reality is, especially in family law, and it's really sad, you can go into a courtroom and you could be a black family, and that could be the only colour in the courtroom. Forget me. Just pretend I'm not there for the moment.
Good point. It's true.
The judge. So you've got a family, a black family. So you've got the black mum and black dad that are in the proceedings. You've got a white judge.
Yep.
Every barrister along the front bench is white.
The social worker's white. The local authority council.
Yeah.
Is white.
Exactly. The guardian's white. So I'm very much for, we need to get. Because then what it looks like from a parent's point of view is that none of you understand me. You don't care about me. Do you know what I mean? Because none of you understand my background. You're not going to understand the nuances of some of the stuff I say. Whereas for me, that's why I'm always trying to...
It's agree, isn't it?
It's needed. Yeah. I'm always pushing... my black lawyers to just, I want to see you. I want to be before you. I want to be before a judge. Like, there are quite a few Asian
family court judges.
Yes.
We're
getting there. We're still, we are getting there.
But it's still a journey.
But we've got a long way to go.
Do you know what's crazy? In fact, I mentioned the borough. So Tower Hamlets is not predominantly, but it's got a big Asian community, right?
Yes.
Yeah? I remember going to a family court one time a couple of years back, and I did actually see a lot of family solicitors and judges and everything, right? Yeah, and in that borough, they very much cater to the culture and the community, right? Yeah.
It represents
yeah.
the families that they're working
right.
with.
Yes.
But it's funny how, well, not funny, but you might take like a South London, for example, or like a North London, where North London and South London is, there's a massive black community, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's a massive black community, but then you might not get that black professional to like, to like really represent them in a particular way though. But yeah, so.
But Sherene, with what you're saying though, I think you're correct, because I think, like I said, I've had a lot of your peers, I've worked with them. So I've worked with a lot of good black lawyers.
Amazing.
And very few seniors. But it's just, when I've gone into court, like I said, I was like, right, okay, wait, only one black family court judge I've ever come across. And then recently an Asian judge as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we're getting there, but still a long way to go. But in terms of biases, what have you experienced?
So, and this is no offense to social workers, but sometimes I get called the social worker.
And
obviously, it's no offense to social workers, because obviously you guys are amazing. You're the professional. Yeah. But I get, I've been asked if I'm the mum in the case.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And then when I see the mum that's in the case, I'm like, is that what I look like?
Yeah. So they just assume you're the parent.
They assume
They don't assume you're the look.
No, it's to the point where one court that I go to. Yeah, one court that I
Sherene, you know the court you go to? Is it the one?
No. But one court that I do go to regularly, it's become a joke now. Like when I walk in, because it's happened and I've corrected them, now they go, oh yeah, we've got a social worker here. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's now become a joke. But yeah, those things, and those, like, you hear stories about one barrister who's Asian, very, very, goes to the Court of Appeal, very good barrister. He got mistaken for the interpreter by another barrister.
Wow.
These are the things we're still coming up against. Yeah. So we've got, this is...
And what about career progression? What's career progression like?
Okay, so with me, obviously at the moment I'm a solicitor, but I'll give you some headline. I'm actually getting caught going to the bar.
Oh, let's clap for that.
But yeah, so with me, obviously I'm a solicitor.
Big.
Big.
So,
and it's funny because I did
big. No, listen. I know a few people that pass the bar.
Yeah. Big up,
Listen, when I'm around them, I'm like, listen, I'm around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's really funny because, as I said to you earlier, that I never even dreamed of wanting to be a barrister, because I'm a South London girl from a council estate. At the bar.
But we need to be in there.
Now I'm not as scared. But in any event, in terms of career progression, from a solicitor's point of view, it's difficult. Obviously, if you're in-house at a local authority, you can obviously become, principal lawyer. So you're the head of legal. So that's kind of where you go. If you're in private practice, obviously own your own firm. You can take it as far as that.
Sky's the limit.
Exactly. And obviously, if you're a barrister, then you're aiming for like KC. And then obviously whether you're a solicitor or a barrister, if you want to be a judge, there are so many things that you can progress to be. If you decide you don't want to even practice law, there's still so many things you can do. Do you know what I mean? Just get your foot in the door. And, for me, it was networking. I've met some amazing people just by networking and talking to everybody. Nana will tell you, I like to talk.
That's cool, man. Cool, man.
But guess what? That's also an important factor of your job role.
Well, yeah, of course.
To be an advocate and talk. You have to talk the thing.
Yeah, no, you do.
Right, you have to, listen, I need to make sure I'm going to conduct and articulate myself in a certain way for my clients. You understand?
Exactly. So they trust you. Because you want to leave court, especially because my client's obviously a professional client. My client's a social worker. You want to leave court knowing you've done the social worker good. You don't want them to go back and be like, please, not Sherene again.
But also, Sherene, I was going to say that in terms of representation, how important is it?
Extremely important. Extremely important. I'm talking no matter what role you play in the system, whether you're a social worker, whether you're the solicitor, whether you're the parent. Do you know how many times I've had, and remember, as you know, I'm exclusively represent the local authority, but do you know how many times I've gone and the parents gone to me, no, you're cool, you're cool, and I'm against you, technically,
but they like how
because one,
you're authentic.
I'm what you get's what you see. I can't be that that lawyer that goes into court, and I'm talking like this to you, but I go in, I'm like, yes, no. So,
You just no, it's true.
Like,
No, Rob, how Sherene is how Sherene is.
Sherene,
Keep it 100.
And then
how is one today, Sherene?
Yeah,
is one okay?
No, I don't know.
When even like, a lot of them, they go, yes, mom. You're like, mom, yeah. That's but Sherene, it's not you.
You can't.
Yeah.
I think the judges would look at me sideways and be like, why are you talking like that? That's not
true,
you.
that's not you.
You know. But so for me, I think representation is so important. But even if let's take it from a social work perspective, what you see, and you know this, is sometimes the higher up you get, the colour erases. Like you go from all the social workers being black, management, a bit. Then we get like team managers.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Above the team managers.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on?
It's a lack of diversity.
No, you're right.
And I think that's important. And I think I always say to team managers, why don't you go for the service manager role? Or why don't you? And they're like, no.
That's another conversation.
But Sherene, you know me.
That's another conversation.
I don't say that though, really. But I get what you're saying.
I'll go in. No, you're right. And that's why I feel sometimes in a lot of local authorities, you can only go so far. Because the politics is just so toxic, and I don't want to be negative, right? Yeah.
But I just think the only way we're going to change that is kind of like, it's getting in there.
Yeah, it's getting in there.
And trying to make a difference. I'm not saying there's a magic wand and but I'm just saying like we can't always complain about things and then
if we're not prepared to go past
change it, you know.
But then you need to go for senior thing then.
I'm getting there. I'm still a baby in this game. I've only been qualified 7 years. So
I'm only
still,
7 years.
No, but still, it's still compared to like
all these others.
They've been in it longer. You know,
you've been seasoned for 7 years.
I've been because I've been in the courtroom. So ever since I
marinated.
started.
But Sherene, the chair of the bar is a black woman.
Amazing. Do you know what? And even though obviously I'm not part of the bar yet officially, that was amazing to see. But we have had a head of the solicitors have been black already. We've already had a head of, but it was amazing. And I really, really hope that, her being in that position is going to make the changes that need to happen at the bar as well, and make it, more inclusive.
Because you're right. I think within the family court system, particularly in terms of judges and barristers, and just like how I say with social work, we need to see a lot more representation in those rooms within the family court system. Because I don't know if you saw recently, they released a child safeguarding review panel.
I haven't read it yet. I've got the report. Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's failed a lot of black children.
A lot of black children. So I'd go as far as even saying that in itself reflects the family court system, decisions that are being made. We need to have people who look like us.
Yeah,
I agree.
In those spaces,
I think it's important.
It's very, very important.
I think it's very in every field. Do you know what I mean? I just think it's so important because sometimes you just feel like, as a parent, obviously I'm a parent as well, and I just feel like I'm very aware of it now since becoming a parent. With school and that, how important it is that my black child feels like they're seen and heard. As a black parent, you want to be seen and heard. I don't think we're asking for anything special. No. We're just
very simple.
Exactly. Just, it's important. I think representation matters so much, because then children won't continue to slip through the net and be forgotten about. I think it's go on.
I want to ask you, I'm very big on well-being and mental health, because self-care is extremely important, and in the line of work that we do, 99% or 100% of people who work for local authority, it is a very demanding job. It can be very demanding, and it can affect your mental health and well-being. So, how do you look after yourself? How do you manage to monitor your
well-being,
your caseload, your caseload, because it can be draining.
Yeah. So in terms of the caseload, that's when I made the decision to stop doing casework.
Yeah.
So that's in terms of from a professional perspective. I just went into advocacy. So as Nana will tell you, the moment that hearing's over, don't email me about the case. Email the lawyer about the case. Email the lawyer, and I will tell you.
I'm off here, but
I will say, please remove me from the email chains, because I'm not The hearing's over. So that's from a professional. I made that decision.
She's right.
I made that decision that casework wasn't for me because it is demanding.
It's demanding.
I have so much respect for the social workers, for the lawyers that do the casework because it's a lot.
That's a lot. No.
It is a lot.
No.
So that's what I did from a professional perspective. I said, I only want to do the court work. Not that that's any less than mine, because obviously the night before a hearing, I'm usually up till midnight making sure I know my stuff. From a personal perspective, I just like going on holiday. I like to travel. I've created a monster in my daughter who we just went to Miami for her fifth birthday.
Lovely.
Fifth. No, it's not amazing.
From young, innit? About traveling the
No,
world.
because what I've done, I remember we was on the plane back and she was like, so, mummy, where are we going next? I was like, what have I done?
My bread is just gone, boy.
And my friends will tell you, my friends and family, they will say, I've just created this broke little bougie monster. So for me, any opportunity I can, I go away.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then I mean, she's my world in terms of
lovely.
when I'm not working. I mean, I've no one told me about how many parties these children get invited to.
Every week, sometime, you know. Sometimes 3 a month.
It's true. Yesterday marked the end of a 3-week bout of parties. Every weekend, I was like, this is getting ridiculous. So very much, doing what she likes to do, So that's kind of,
it's amazing.
What makes me happy, what I do for enjoyment.
Who do you talk to? Because I mean, look. So like, if I'm fed up, I've got Nana or Nana will ring me. It's always like, who's your go-to person? Do you know what, man?
Do you know what? It's so on a Saturday and a Sunday, I go for long walks. But so on a Saturday, me and some of my parent friends so we drop our children to gymnastics. And then we get an hour to ourselves and we literally walk and talk. So yesterday I was with my friend, and I called her a friend because after a while you do become friends. You share. So we started to know each other from our daughters going nursery together, and now they both go gymnastics. So on a Saturday we'll drop them off and then we'll go for a walk around where we are. So that's me and Amy on a Saturday, and we're the opposite of each other, but we just get on so much. Seriously, the total opposite.
That's nice though, isn't it?
And then I love it. And then on a Sunday, so I've got, she's another barrister. Again, we drop our girls off to their respective clubs. They go to different clubs and then we meet, and then me, her and her dog, again, we go for a walk and then we just unleash. Like we read,
get it all out.
We just read the rights of the world to each other. So that's kind of, so 2 things that I look forward to every weekend is those walks, because it means, and then, obviously you got your family I've got sisters and cousins and, my friends and my family that are just amazing,
Because as well, because like I think we can all agree, like sometimes I can't tell my mum or my sister or my brother, I got one case, and there's a safeguarding issue and like because they number one, data protection. I can't go and tell them. I can't.
Exactly.
So I've got to talk to someone who knows.
Exactly, and that's what I get on a Sunday, because we just moan about the court system and what's going on, and on a Sunday,
offload, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then, but what I try not to do anymore, and it's easier said than done, is bring my work, because our work is so stressful. It's a lot. It's emotionally draining. You can never ever take lighthearted. Exactly.
No, you can't.
I try my hardest to just kind of not take that on with me all the time outside of, and you know what, I'm very lucky because I'm in WhatsApp groups with a lot of lawyers as well.
That's important,
So again, it could be like 8 a.m. Does anyone know where I can find a case?
It's good. And everyone just networks, isn't it?
So it's good to have your support networks, but equally it's good to just like have your girls, like I'll have like my cousin and my sister come over and we'll just be sitting and chatting till 1 o'clock in the morning. Then my daughter goes to school the next day and tells her teachers that mummy kept her up late because she was making holy noise because we were talking so much. So it's nice to have that. So I just think, you just got to have, you know, your different pockets of people that feed into you different ways, because the same person can't always give you everything you need. So it's important to have, for me, to have, you know, the different groups of people that you get different things from. So I think that's important as well. And that's what I do. But more importantly, my number one love is traveling. That's what I love doing.
Listen, do you know what?
It's amazing, man.
Sherene,
your energy is amazing, you know.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I lined it up. That's why I lined it up.
Listen,
that's why I lined it up here.
When you start your own business, I know where to go to,
no, 100, no. Don't even laugh about it, bro. No.
I know where to go to,
That is true, but listen,
Sherene, listen,
listen. Bro, don't laugh now. We will be going to her.
Yeah.
We'll be going to her, innit? No, 100%.
Listen, you'll be on speed dial, you know.
No, 100%, bro. So I can line it up, innit? Do you know what I'm trying to say? But
thank you for having me. I was very nervous.
You know what we do? You know that the Batman sign?
Yeah, Sherene.
No,
that means when I put that thing out, you got to come, yeah?
And we put it at beaming, innit? No, but Sherene, honestly, do you know what, yeah? I must say the Batman sign today. Anyway, no. But Sherene, honestly, today's been brilliant. I want to thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
And just to say, we do need to do a panel on this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, let's do a panel on this, isn't it? Yeah. I've already asked Sherene as well.
Need about 6 of you, man.
Oh my God. Do you know how hard it is getting lawyers together?
Listen,
no. Leave that to us, yeah, trust.
Yeah, but honestly, yeah. But listen, guys, you know where to find myself and Rob. Yeah. You like, subscribe, and share. But Sherene, thank you so much for coming on today.
Come on,
Thank you.
Amazing, man.
That's it.